Have you ever smelt so bad that somebody had to bring it to your attention or you've had to be kicked out of some place because of it? Yeah, this happened to one couple. We're going to talk about it. Hey, what's going on, Adventure Fam? Welcome back to another video. And I came across this story the other day. And, of course, naturally, after reading the headline of the family being kicked off an American Airlines flight, I thought, I got to read this. I got to find out what's going on. What happened in the story? Because it was just unbelievable. I couldn't fathom this happening to me and or my family. I would feel embarrassed. I'd feel all kinds of things. So I wanted to dive a little deeper into the story, find out what's going on. Because a lot of times when you read these stories online, right, you might get it's kind of like YouTube. You get this catchy title or you get this catchy YouTube thumbnail title and it makes you click on it, right? So sometimes you click on these news stories and what ends up happening is you find out that the story wasn't even that big of a deal in the first place. But I wanted to nonetheless dive into this story and find out what exactly is going on. Now, I will tell you right up front, this story is not new. Apparently, now the updates to the story and kind of what the family is doing now are kind of new, but the actual incident took place, I believe, in 2019. And so bear with me here. I'm going to go through the story. We're going to kind of cover it together, and then I want to get your opinion on kind of what you would do and just kind of ask if you've dealt with anything like this before. So let me dive into the story here and we'll kind of get your opinion. So essentially what happened was a couple, along with their 19-month-old daughter, were on board an American Airlines flight, and they were actually kicked off of the flight after people started complaining about their body odor to the crew members. Yep, you heard me right. People started complaining about their body odor to the crew members, saying they smell like urine, they don't smell very good. And so nonetheless, the crew members approached this family and basically told them, you can't be on this flight. We need to get you off this flight. But that's not how it exactly happened. They did get kicked off the flight, but that's not how. Let me tell you how they got kicked off the flight. And one might say they were deceived, right, in getting off the flight. So let me go over that with you real quick and get your opinion on this. So the story surrounds Yossi Adler and his wife Jenny and their 19-month-old, I almost said year, but 19-month-old daughter. When they were at Miami International Airport, they were going to board an American Airlines flight. And essentially what happened was complaints came in about their body odor, so the crew members told them that they could not return to their flight. Now, you might have heard me just there say they could not return, which means they would have had to have been taken off the flight first, correct? Yes. But normally when you have an issue in the airlines, it's the police come on board, right? You're being disruptive, whatever, and they take you off. This is not the case of what happened with this family. So let me tell you exactly how they were taken off this airplane and then told they could not return. So the couple here, they are Orthodox Jews, and the story goes like this. They sat down in their airplane seats. They got on the board. They sat down in their seats, and all of a sudden, the flight attendant comes up and tells them, excuse me, there's been an emergency. We're going to need you to get off of the airplane. So that's not normal behavior for an airline, right? To just target one couple, to just say, hey, there's an emergency. Usually when there's an emergency, they're announcing it to the entire plane, hey, there's an emergency. We all need to get off. That's not what happened. They came to this couple and said, hey, there's an emergency. We need to get off the plane. Now, of course, like good citizens, they got up and they said, okay, we'll get off. There's an emergency. We get off the plane. So they get off the plane, and it was at this time that the flight attendants told them that, hey, now that we're off the plane, I got to tell you that we've gotten complaints and you're not getting back on the plane. Now imagine you're in their situation and you just sat down in your seats, you were told there's an emergency, you get off the plane, and once you get off the plane, there's actually not an emergency, but the emergency is really them telling you that people have complained about you and your body odor, and therefore we're not going to let you back onto the airplane. Yeah, I don't know how I would react in that situation. I think I'd be embarrassed at first. I'd wonder, do I really smell? Am I really? And that's exactly what happened. So once they were told that they could not return to the plane because of the body odor complaint, the father, Mr. Adler, decides to ask the agent, hey, is this body odor emanating from me? Is it emanating from my wife or my child? And apparently the gate agents and the American Airlines workers did not respond or did not give him an answer to that. They did not give him an answer to that, and all they told them was, continuously, you got to get off the plane at the direction of the pilot due to your extensive body odor. They wouldn't tell him who the body odor was coming from. They just kept saying, you've got to get off the plane. Basically, all three of you, you got to deboard. The pilot doesn't want you on. You've got a foul body odor, so therefore you cannot get back on the plane. Now, Mr. Adler comes back and says, hey, look, this has to be a mistake, basically. We bathed this morning. Literally, before we came to the airport, we took a shower. We bathed ourselves. So I'm having basically a hard time understanding kind of where the odor is coming from, right? Essentially, right? If you took a shower, you would think that you'd be clean. Now, some people do take better showers than others. I'm not going to come to you. Use soap. You don't use soap, right? What soap do you use? And so, but yeah, he says, we bathed this morning. How could this be? So after being kicked off this plane, it gets a little worse for this family. So they were told all their luggage and all their child's belongings, strollers, all that stuff, baby seats would be brought back off the plane and they would have it. That never happened. So they were literally left with no baby supplies, nothing to take care of their child. They were left with just the clothes on their back and nothing else. They didn't have their luggage, didn't have their strollers, car seats, anything to take care of their child, only the clothes on their back. So why is this a news story? Well, of course, it's a news story because now the airline is being sued. Looks like the case was filed back in 2019, 2020. There's been no updates to the case docket, but it's been brought back to the light in the news cycle. And the family is suing for the following. They're suing for they suffered from unbearable humiliation, embarrassment, and mental and emotional anguish after being removed from the plane. Now, I got to tell you that after they got booted from the plane, they actually were so confused because they said they bathed, they don't understand, they wouldn't answer the question about who stinks. And they actually went around the airport. Now, I can't imagine doing this, but they went around the airport asking random people in the airport if they stunk. They literally went up to people saying, hey, can you smell me? Like, do I smell? Do I stink? Is my body odor, just so outrageous that, and apparently there was nobody that said that they did stink, when they were asking, right? So I'm not sure if that's true, not true, whatever, but if that is true and they went around asking people if they stunk, I mean, one, that's brave of you to do that because I don't think I could do that. I might smell myself, right? Ooh, I actually smell pretty good. But I might smell myself, but I'm certainly probably not going to run up to strangers and say, hey, can you smell me? Do you think I smell? Probably not going to be me to do that. But if they did that, good on them. But apparently nobody thought they smelled except for the pilot, the people complaining, and the flight attendant crew. So I don't know where this case is going to go. I don't know if it'll end up in in where it's going to end up in terms of like who's going to win, what's going to happen. Of course, American Airlines came out and said, look, they were removed due to complaints of body odor, right? Playing the political kind of, corporate, quasi response, right? Don't know where this is going to go. I will tell you, I had an incident where I used to work at Sam's Club back when I was like 18, 19 years old, and I was a supervisor over the grocery department, I believe, at the time. And there was a gentleman that worked for me there, a younger kid, probably, maybe I say younger, he's probably around 18 too, but never well put together, but his body odor was so bad. And I mean this, so we'd be walking behind a forklift, or and the body odor would just like, customers were complaining, quite frankly. And so I literally had to pull him into an office and tell him about these complaints, about how we can smell him and how he needs to really do a better job of washing himself and cleaning his clothes or whatever the case may be. And the individual blamed it on the washer and the dryer not drying his clothes fully, things like that. But it was clear that there was a huge body stench and odor, and he wasn't showering and maybe washing his clothes. And I feel, maybe there was a circumstance at home and things like that. I don't know, but I have had to address situations like that, and I will tell you, it is the most uncomfortable situation to address, right? To tell somebody, hey, you stink, we need you to fix it. And so I don't know what's going to happen with this case, but I thought it was an interesting thing to report on, to bring it to you guys. And, as we go about our adventures, we take all kinds of transportation, planes, trains, automobiles, all that stuff, right? And so wanted to just bring the story to you if you haven't heard it. And let me know your thoughts down below. Have you ever dealt with a situation where somebody stunk so bad you had to address it? Or what would you do if you were in their situation? If that happened to you, would you feel embarrassed? Would you be mad? What would you feel? So let me know down below, but that's going to do it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Love you guys. Happy Tuesday, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Wait, back up. Happy Wednesday, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.